All right, friends and family and enemies, welcome back to another edition of Let's Grow, our unfiltered franchise education podcast. For those of you that don't know, I am Michael Hyam, and my co-host here is the infamous Leanne Caruso, the famous, sorry, that was a Freudian slip there. Um,
Wow.
I'm just kidding. Everyone knows Leanne. Leanne, how was your week?
It was good. We've had a big break between these recordings, and then now we're back to boop, 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 boop. So ready to be back at it. We have a good show today.
Yes, ma'am. How was my week? Yeah, thanks. It was good. Leanne. Thanks for asking, Leanne.
How was your week, Michael?
Some
How was your
some
holiday? How was your week? How was all the things?
all the things have been great. Everything's good. At the time of this recording, I'll tell you that 2 days ago, our fearless leader, and some would say our biggest chump of Canada has resigned. And yes, by fearless leader, I mean he's not fearless, nor is he a leader. And sorry if you disagree with me, those, but we're unfiltered here. And he resigned 2 days ago, which is great. I mean, great because he's a total moron, but not so great. I'm not going to get into Canadian politics. We'll leave that alone.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I was
it's
going to say,
been
tell us how you really feel, but don't.
it's been an interesting week for sure. But happy to be back here on a podcast. I can't believe it's been so long since our last recording.
I know. Well, it sounds like you guys are going to become part of the United States too.
And Denmark too, and the Panama Canal. I've seen all of this. It's wild.
So
It's
much. It's going to be
it's
a big year.
anyways. I don't want to make any more
What's the
enemies, so I'm
franchise?
gonna keep my mouth quiet.
You're listening now. All right. Let's do this. Who do we have today on the
Uh,
podcast?
Today, we have Joe Mohay, president of the franchise division at Ignite Visibility. Joe is super smart guy, informed. He's actually in your space of marketing and agencies, and I mean, you'll probably talk to that a lot more than I will. Or could. But yeah, I'm super happy to have Joe on because he is a wealth of information. He is going to talk about holistic marketing strategies for franchise brands, selecting the right franchise partner for 2025 and beyond. What do you think
Yes.
about that, Leanne?
I think it's great because we're going to talk about I think in 2024 franchise brands had a tough year in FranDev, and I think a lot of it had to do with the economy, politics, all of that jazz. So I think 2025 is shaping up to be a better year. So I'm really interested to hear about FranDev strategies and what the kind of outlook is for 2025 from the digital marketing side. And he's been in the FranDev digital marketing side for a very, very long time. So I think it's going to be a good convo.
Love it. All right, so let's get to it here quickly. What's growing on? For those of you that know, this segment is some news, weather, sports, what's growing on. This segment is sponsored by Franchise Assembly, a franchise events company bringing resources and education to franchise brands and people. Leanne, tell us what's growing on.
I love those guys over at Franchise Assembly.
They're nice people.
They're cool. All right, what's going on? TGI Fridays, the one next to me just closed, which not surprising. TGA Fridays is facing significant financial challenges, leading to the resignation of key executives and a Chapter 11 bankruptcy filing in November. The company has vacated its Dallas headquarters, dun, 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 with documents now stored at employees' homes. Once a popular dining destination, TGI Fridays now has fewer than 200 U.S. locations, with 39 in bankruptcy. Former CEO Ray Blanchette aims to revive the brand by purchasing bankrupt restaurants and managing the company's finances. Interesting.
Wow.
He can revive it.
I don't know, me being in Canada, I've never actually even been into a TGI
Every
Fridays.
time I bring up these restaurants you've never been to.
I know I should get out to one, right? What's the footprint there? How big are those?
They're pretty, I mean, they're like all the others. They're like Outback, Applebee's.
Oh, okay,
They're,
so
they're
yeah,
kind of one of the
full
original.
size.
Yeah, they're kind of one of the originals. They're the ones with all they used to have the flair. But then
Yeah,
they went through a rebrand and regrowth. And I mean, they're good, but I think there's just so much competition in the space, and maybe they just didn't keep up with.
sure. Those are the ones that are having it the toughest.
Yep.
Well, speaking of tough, Subway is facing criticism for its franchisees over mandatory promotions that reduce profitability and force restaurant remodels. The company's recent decision to end its 6.99-foot-long deal early has further highlighted ongoing struggles. Yes. Well, you know what? When you kind of force things, actually. I'll keep my opinion there to myself until I say this one. In contrast, um, Jersey Mike's is thriving with an average store earnings nearly 3 times that of Subway. The appointment of Kerry Walsh as interim CEO offers potential for improved relations with franchisees. What do you think about that, Leanne? Should
Uh,
should should franchisee for should franchisors be putting mandatory
Mandatory deals.
yeah on their franchisees
I think
like
it's kind of tough
create
because
making them do mandatory promotions. Did you listen to anything I said?
yeah, I wrote it.
Stop laughing. Speak.
I, I mean, I think they need to do mandatory promotions, but I think there has to be variables because every location is different. I mean, you can't put the same promotion in New York City that you put in Kennebunkport, Maine.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, but
You ever been to a Subway or a Jersey Mike's?
I once was in a Subway. I'll tell you where in Brooklyn. In Brooklyn, they actually had a kosher Subway where but it has since closed because I went to revisit it one other time when I was in Brooklyn, and it wasn't there. I just figured, the kosher meat might be less nitrates. I'm just kidding. I I
Oh.
joke.
Did you see this one? Dave Portnoy, the founder of Barstool Sports, has once again demonstrated the power of viral one bite pizza reviews. Do you follow him?
No.
Oh. Well, never mind. This time he visited Tiny Brick Oven, a small pizza shop struggling to stay afloat in Haddon Township, New Jersey. The owner, John Teddy, was on the verge of closing his business, grappling with rising costs and low foot traffic. But Portnoy gave the shop a glowing 9.1 out of 10 rating, one of the highest ever, and everything changed. The review went viral, bringing in droves of new customers eager to try the pizza for themselves. Teddy shared that the boost in business has been life-changing, crediting Portnoy with saving his shop. And another example of how influential social media can be, particularly when used to spotlight small businesses. So Dave Portnoy, he's the owner of Barstool Sports, and he got famous because he goes into pizza shops and he gets a pizza, he walks outside, he does one bite, and then he reviews it. And so he's highlighted like all of these really small town pizza shops, and it's just one bite, and then he reviews it. So looks like he changed the life of this struggling pizza shop, which is pretty cool.
That is, I always find it interesting with pizza because once in a while, especially when you go to those mom and pop shops, like you'll just have a pizza and you'll be like, wow, this is a game changer. I wish all pizza tasted like this. Um, there was one like not to waste too much time, but one time I'll never forget. I was in spring break in Daytona Beach, and and I doubt it. I doubt it was a franchise, or maybe there is a franchise now. I think there is one called Paisano's Pizza, but I don't think it was the same spot that I was in Daytona Beach. And I remember having that pizza, and it was so good. It was like the best pizza I ever had, and it's still stuck in my head here. You
Yeah.
know, 2 years later, since I've been in college, since I've left college 2 years ago, like it's it's
Nobody
still in
believes
my
you.
head. maybe 25 years ago. But yeah, yeah, it's still in my mind you at the time maybe it was so good because it was probably after a club and I was drunk, but who knows?
What?
Yeah. Leanne, tell us about Z-Bart.
Oh my God. This is from our friend Larissa. We love Larissa over at Z-Bart and we love Z-Bart, but Z-Bart teams up with ABC Shifting Gears for exclusive promotion. So Z-Bart, the automotive aftercare franchise, is teaming up with ABC's new sitcom Shifting Gears, starring Tim Allen and Kat Dennings, to celebrate the show's premiere with an exclusive promotion through February 28th, and this airs well before that, so you have time. Customers who purchase interior detailing services at US Z-Bart locations will receive a free Ultra Fabric protection upgrade and an exclusive Shifting Gears chamois drying cloth. The strategic vision of this partnership reflects Z-Bart's focus on modernizing its brand and engaging younger audiences through entertainment collaborations, which is a strategic move in today's crowded media landscape. And there's a lot of Michigan pride because the collaboration is a natural fit. Allen spent much of his childhood in Michigan, and Z-Bart, founded in Detroit, continues to call the automotive capital its home. Catch Shifting Gears, a heartfelt show about classic car restoration and family connections, premiering Wednesday, January 8th, which was past on ABC, with episodes streaming the next day on Hulu. For more on Z-Bart's promotion, visit zbart.com/SG promotion. Way to go, Larissa and Z-Bart and team.
That is totally awesome. That is totally awesome. At the time of recording that is today. So unfortunately you guys will miss the first episode, but that's fantastic. We'll
Yep.
catch it tonight at 8 o'clock.
And then you can catch it on Hulu.
All right. So, for anyone else who wants to share what's going on in your world, thank you, Larissa, by the way. Please feel free to send us any awesome, interesting franchise news to podcast@franchiseassembly.com. Shoot us an email and we will most likely not air it. I'm just kidding. We'll do our best.
We don't know. This segment is sponsored by Hello Mastermind, professional development peer advisory groups for franchise professionals and executives. We currently have executive franchise marketers and franchise development execs with just a few spots left. Visit hello-mastermind.com for more info. And by this segment, I mean the next one is Franchise Royals.
We're just on it. I was gonna be like, Leon, what do you mean this segment? What segment are we talking about here?
I'm
Um,
trying to move quick here.
well, that's great. Thank you, Hello Mastermind, for sponsoring the segment.
They're great too.
So, franchise royals. I gotta tell you that this is like one of my absolute favorite franchise people, and we were lucky enough to see her. What was it, last month at yeah, at the SMB thing,
Yeah. In
uh,
December.
at the SMB Summit. Karen Wenning, Karen, I hope you're listening. You are this week's franchise royal. We just wanted to thank you for everything and anything. I mean, you're all over everywhere. Your input into the franchise world is amazing, and your support for us is just phenomenal. You are Leanne, and remind me, you said Karen is our new franchise print sponsor for all of Franchise Assembly, as well as our franchise podcast sponsor as well. And so
Little
for
Strauss. Let's
for
mention.
I was about to get there. But Karen from Subtle Strauss, thank you so much. You are freaking amazing and you rock and we love you.
We love you, Karen. Thank you for all of your support. Who's my franchise royal, you ask?
I didn't ask. Just kidding.
Big news coming out of Unleashed Brands. Our friend Josh Wall has just been promoted to COO, which I think is very, very exciting.
Amazing.
Love,
Congratulations, Josh. That's fantastic.
yeah, so that's big news.
All right.
Speaking of Subtle Strauss, before we head into our show and tell segment with Joe Mohay from Ignite Visibility, take a moment to learn about our new podcast sponsor, or our return podcast sponsor and official print sponsor of Franchise Assembly, Subtle Strauss.
Franchisors love Subtle Strauss because we protect their brand standard across all marketing channels. Z's love our marketing platform because they can customize, print, download, and mail brand right collateral for their local market in minutes. Want to see how it works? Connect with me, Karen Wenning, on LinkedIn.
All right, so now is my favorite segment. Coming up next, of course, is our show and tell. This is a segment where our guests drop some amazing franchise industry knowledge, best practices, thought leadership, all that great stuff. And today we have Joseph Mohay. Joe, sorry, we were right before this. We were debating was it Mohay or Leanne said, "What did you say, Mahe?" I was like, "No, it's got to be Mohay." We've got Joe Mohay, president of the franchise division at Ignite Visibility. Joe, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Great. Thank you, Michael. Leanne, great to see you both. Yeah, so my name is Joe Mohay. Just the way it's spelled is the way it sounds. So that'll be a footnote for you there, Michael. Yeah, yeah. So I've been in the franchise industry for about 13 years, and overall marketing, digital marketing for about 24 years. So I'm getting my years are getting up there. So yeah, I definitely am very passionate about this industry. So I'm really excited to be sharing some of my insights and being with you all at the Let's Grow franchise show in a few short weeks. So my experience is very focused on the agency space. I started originally in the franchise space with a company called IDS, which hopefully many of your audience know of IDS. We started back in 2012, a very heavy focus on the franchise development side of marketing with a roster of great clients, a lot of proven success, and also did quite a bit in the consumer space, helping franchisors and franchisees align their marketing. Back about just a little over a year ago, we were acquired and merged with a great group called Ignite Visibility, who I'm with now, and I oversee really the franchise division of the full agency. Very sizable group of marketers, very experienced seasoned marketers over general digital marketing, not just franchise, but obviously Ignite bringing us in with their experience in franchise and our experience in franchise, really bringing a real strong service to the industry. We are currently have over 240 employees and really have a focus on the national to local side, so that consumer side, a sizable team focused on that. And then again, with that franchise development experience we bring, really building that other pillar within Ignite is a key focus of mine in 25.
That's
Wow, that,
great. So I
that,
come from the agency side too, the franchise agency side. So I've worked in the local store marketing side, the fran dev. So do you guys do everything from like you do you manage local campaigns for franchisees all
Yeah,
the way through to fran dev campaigns for the franchisor?
yeah, so we kind of break them out in kind of these three pillars. The franchisor, kind of that national to local holistic approach, right? Where it's the brand domain, it's a lot of that really heavy content marketing, a lot of heavy national level strategy, and bringing it down to the local level for the franchisee. So we do kind of that both interchangeably. And then we also do a lot within that multi-location sector. So if there's a franchisee that has 10, 20, 30 locations, we build a very robust custom plan for those individual franchisees. So that's kind of that consumer national to local bucket. And then the franchise development, we're doing, SEO, we're doing robust web design development, content marketing, blogs, downloadable content, paid social, paid media strategies you expect. Quite a bit on the kind of the CRM lead nurturing side, as you all well know with brand dev experience that you have. Got to do a lot of that warming up of those leads and keeping those leads going through that sales funnel. So very focused on the full suite of services for digital for both the consumer, web design as well, and of course the just overall lead management, making sure leads are converting into ROI.
that is fantastic. So, Joe, talk to me a little bit about, there might be kind of a stigma out there about agencies and if they can both work on franchise development and consumer marketing. Is that can an agency be an expert in both, really?
Yeah, they could. They could. There are few and far between, I'd say. Being around the industry now, like I said, over 13 years, I've seen some really make a concerted effort to become that one-stop shop, and have not really done one better than the other, or kind of lean towards one, thinking they could do something, and then it's like doesn't work out as good as they had planned with the client. So I would say it definitely can be done. They are very important pillars of a franchise organization, as you know, right? It's the things I've learned in my years in franchising. The people that run franchises, they care about two things. It's growing that brand footprint and keeping their franchisees happy, right? So you got to make sure that if you are doing those two pillars of consumer marketing, like that national to local, you can execute, you can strategize, you have the resources, the people, the tools, the scalability, right? These consumer marketing programs, these national to local strategies take people. It's not just a few AI buttons and here and there, and you're getting this great digital footprint built. It's a lot of strategy, and so you've got to be able to have that scalability, and that's a real important aspect. At the same time, with franchise development, you also have to have a lot of skill in driving great performance for these franchisors to sell franchises. I think we could all agree, the buying cycle of buying a franchise, it takes a long time. People are doing a lot of due diligence, a lot of research, a lot of decision making. These are life events. So you got to have a very strong franchise development team that understands the dynamics of storytelling, great marketing, the skills in driving that website to the top of searches to generate a lot of that traffic. And those are two different skill sets, right? The FranDev marketers that we have on staff are very seasoned people that know a lot about how to market a franchise, and they don't really intertwine too much with the consumer to local folks on the team, right? They have two different disciplines. And so I would say, to kind of get to that answer to the question, you can absolutely do both really well if you have the team and the tools, the resources, and the scalability to do it well, and having that proven track record. We all know in franchising, I know you, especially Leanne, with your years in the business, people in the franchise talk, right? There's a very tight-knit community. We all know each other. We all run into the same circles at the shows, and you've got to have a great reputation. You have to have validation. They're going to maybe leave one brand and go to the other. Sometime down the road, you might run into them again and get an introduction to service their business. You got to make sure you got that reputation really locked in on both sides to do it well.
So I have a question on that. You mentioned something about agencies try to do both, but they don't always do it well. So what I've noticed is that agencies that focus on consumer and do consumer really well, then try to take on FranDev. But the issue I noticed that what they do with FranDev is that they try to make it a turnkey program, like they make their consumer marketing turnkey because they have to scale it for hundreds of locations. But a turnkey program for franchise development doesn't really work. I mean, there has to be strategy, and the messaging is different. Like you said, it's two completely different skill sets. So I think it's really interesting that IDS and Ignite have joined forces, because you have the FranDev skill set on one that can bring the strategy, and then you have the consumer marketing side that can do the turnkey, and that's what it's built for, to be an engine for these franchises. But I've found that the agencies in franchising are really struggling on the FranDev side these days, that there's not a lot of agencies who are putting strategy to it, and they're trying too hard to make it turnkey because that's what they know on the consumer side.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree?
Yeah, Leah, that's a great perspective. Yeah, like with our folks, the way our kind of model works is you have like a quarterback, as you'd expect, right? The senior account manager that is really the liaison with these franchisors. I'm talking like FranDev right now. They get so in depth with their discovery. They got to figure out every aspect of that franchise to really distinguish them from the pack, right? We all know franchising is a very competitive space to sell franchises in this space, in this economy, in this market in 2025. And so it has to be very thoughtful, it has to be very, like, we got to do a lot of competitive analysis, got to think about what is going to resonate with that ideal buyer, tell really powerful stories. There's just so much planning and strategy to carry out and to sell a franchise, right? And you got to also see through that these marketing qualified leads become sales qualified leads, and these are working down the funnel, because at the end of the year, when budgets are to be figured out and renewed, a lot of our friendly clients, as in your experiences, like, they're looking at the cost per sale, they're looking at how many deals did they get done, and that's how you're scored. So we try to really kind of work backwards and figure out and anticipate what we need to do to get that done. So to your point, Leanne, that is a complete different animal, and you've got to have experience in that side. The consumer side is turnkey, but obviously you've got to have great strategy. And I think that's where we really are separating ourselves from the pack. And you'll see more and more as you get to see us this year in 2025. Now is Ignite. Ignite is a powerhouse when it comes to national to local. They've been doing it as long as IDS has, since 2012, working on that consumer and on hyper-local strategy, and proven to be very successful at it. So it's a different group of people doing it. And so it's kind of an interesting thing integrating our companies. We're kind of teaching our new colleagues that side of franchise development, and they're also kind of educating us on that consumer local, to how to make that scalable, but also very custom to the clients we serve. But it's definitely a distinction, I think, as a company we'll be bringing to 2025 and beyond. And it's definitely something the industry historically has struggled with, what I've seen, and we're excited to bring that to the market.
Awesome. So what are some common mistakes that brands make when they're choosing an agency partner?
Set me up here. Let's see. Without being, I'll try to be as diplomatic as I can.
You don't have to be diplomatic here.
Yeah, you told me ahead of time, like, you be raw as you want. All right, we be raw. No, I would say kind of the first things that jump out at me, thinking about like back in the day when we kind of got our start in marketing, it's like, the generalist, right? The agency that says they could do it all, and they could do it all, and then you find out they can't do it all. They can't do even a few things right. So they gotta, brands, like yourself, the folks that you guys work with, like, you gotta be able to do that due diligence and figure out, okay, do these folks have, first and foremost, do they have the franchise chops, right? Do they have that niche experience and proven track record with brands that I respect and that I see are doing a lot of the right things from my purview, right? So niche experience, got to find that. And there's some great partners, great suppliers. We see them all at the events this season, right? There's some really great ones, some of the ones that have been there for a good number of years and keep building that stature, and some new ones that are coming in that just have some great game-changing tools and technologies. And so it's a great invitation to brands to really take the time to look at who could be best for them. It's the people, right? We're in the digital marketing business. We're in the business to generate leads and build strategy, but we all got to work together and collaborate and the people we deal with. So make sure there's a real connection with the people, the vision, the mission, the culture, and take the time to understand that. Because you're not going to, as we all know, digital is digital. Like, you're not going to get wins every single time, but you got to be able to kind of appreciate the work and appreciate what is being done, and have them, share candid, transparent, it's a transparent two-way relationship. So I think it's really important that you feel good about the people. And thirdly, set the benchmarks up, right? You were talking this kind of turnkey approach earlier, Leanne, on the consumer. Like, get the KPIs open, honest, and upfront. Let's set realistic expectations. Let's set benchmarks that we all agree to upfront, what we think could be done in the best strategies and tools we can anticipate, and set those benchmarks up, those KPIs, and have that report card out there, knowing you're not going to get all A's, but if they see some progress, or if they see rebound a little bit from something that didn't go well, they know that you're putting all your effort in there. So those benchmarks, the people, and making sure that industry experience is upheld, I think, are the three big things that common brands typically don't really think about as much as they should be.
Oh, great.
That is. I'm gonna change it up a little bit, Joe, and this one coming a little bit out of left field. So we know 2024 for FranDev was a little bit tough. As we go into to 2025, I mean, we're in it right now. What strategies and tactics are you recommending for digital for FranDev programs, and do you see that things will get better for 2025?
Yeah, well, definitely just the signs, and I read, some industry things. I saw a few things pop up just on LinkedIn the other day. Obviously, we're going to be in a better market, right? Interest rates, we got the political, dynamic all kind of going a little bit in a different direction. People have been kind of anxious about, really reinvesting in their marketing to really take 2025 as a great sales rebound, right? So a lot of brands, struggled in selling, and we have clients that are in that situation. So we feel like the marketing budgets are going to be a little bit loosened up and be a little bit more aggressive, which is good for partners of all types that serve franchise communities. We expect to think out of the box a little bit with these brands, how they're going to go out and separate themselves from the pack. So I'm very ambitious this year, knowing that we as a company have really bolstered up our roster with some really strong franchise development expertise. And so, to me, going to 2025, it's all about making sure the clients that we work with or that we're vying to work with, we have a plan, we have a strategy to really separate them from the pack. Think about the content, right? Content is king. I come from Yellow Page advertising from back 25 years ago, where we used to say content is king. And so it's king as much as it is then to now. So we got to make sure that the brands that we work with or any partners are working with that are able to really do great storytelling, great content creation, and making sure that that content resonates with the right buyers, and making sure that the generating of leads is not just that's all you're doing, you're hitting go. It's analyzing those leads, right? You've got all these great AI tools and data learning that if you can generate good leads, strong leads that convert at a higher rate by different channels, and working those leads backwards, like, hey, how far did they go into the sales process, and refeeding that into the machine, so-called, that is what's going to be really pivotal for a lot of brands this year. If they're spending big marketing dollars in digital, they got to know where that ROI is coming from, and getting more of the ones that convert at a higher ROI than ones that don't, I think are going to be the differentiator for this upcoming year.
It's
Love
great.
it.
Do you guys do social as well for FranDev?
We do. We have adapted quite a bit there. Meta has got a lot more sophisticated, a lot more friendlier, I would say, with campaign strategies these days than maybe 4 years ago or so, where it was like, oh, I'm not getting a lot of quality here, and you just get this volume of leads that we all know that's like a uncomfortable thing when you're getting hundreds of leads that don't convert. I would say with Meta, especially with Meta, and I could talk LinkedIn for in a moment. I say with paid social, we're getting way more aggressive with Meta. Just on a call yesterday with our strategist, going over kind of our weekly roundup, and I was really happy to see a couple of the clients that we struggled with most of half of last year, getting them quality and volume of leads through these social platforms. But like I just said, the data learning, it's getting smarter. It's using a lot of that the audience, remarketing audiences, and really honing in on the right demographic. We're seeing a lot more marketing qualified leads, and getting those into the process at a cost per lead that's very acceptable, right? I mean, with search, you're talking $200-300 cost per lead for really good leads. Social, 75, maybe up to 100, and they're good leads, and their volume is there. So I would say Meta, as long as it's a complement to other marketing strategies, you don't just do paid social and hope and pray it goes well. You got to have a well-rounded program. But I definitely would say Meta is going to be a real avenue for our clients going into 2025, and anyone that knows how to use that data to relearn and make the marketing smarter is going to do really well with that. With LinkedIn, it's all about how active the brands are beyond just paid ads. Making sure they're advocating, they're thought leaders, they're contributing content. The way we use LinkedIn today, we're using it more with AI, doing a lot of that heavy kind of outreach and building audiences and doing more of that natural connection and kind of those conversation starters. That's how we're using it for most of our clients, and it's a nice complement to the toolkit.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, so the big debate in franchising, besides responsible franchising, besides those words.
Yeah, that's the good one.
The other big debate is the FranDev website versus the consumer website. What is your stance on, should they be connected or should they be separate?
Funny, great question. And I hear it every year when I go to a panel or I'm talking to some brands that are doing it one way and they talk to a few others. And I will tell you this, Leanne and Michael, I've been saying this since day one. Okay. So I never changed my focus back even 2013, 2014, we really got heavy into franchise. We were a big HubSpot inbound marketing agency, right? And we knew that, okay, to naturally attract, so let's talk this franchise development bucket again, to naturally attract buyers to your business, you have to have content that is robust, helpful, thoughtful, resonate, all the things that you hear today. This was back in 2014, 2015. We have always led with this, and I have stats because they ask me, okay, well, what do you I have the before and afters. Trust me, I work with over 85 brands today, so I've built hundreds of FranDev sites over our tenure. It does matter if you have a consumer and franchise development site that are separate and distinct, and let me explain why. Google obviously ranks and indexes relevant content. The consumer site, although the authority of that domain is really powerful, that's just one part of the algorithm, is that domain authority, which is still a pretty sizable part of it. It's the content that is really what keeps Google coming back, right? You can even see it in a lot of these search results. You think about how generative AI works, is all picking up the most powerful, relevant content to produce on a search result. So my experience over these years is, as long as the franchise development site is not dormant, meaning it's not like a 5-page site, looks really good and nice pictures and images, and it's got some key pages and it's just kind of out there. It's got to be robust. It has to be, constantly being fueled with new content and optimized for the right keywords, right? And making sure it's following the search algorithms, best practices. That franchise development site will outperform a consumer, / subfolder, right? Where you see the domain and it got maybe a set of sub pages. I've seen it perform like 5x better with regard to traffic, more keywords ranking wise, better engagement, better conversion rates, because the content is all about the franchise opportunity, and what that user is there for is to learn about the investment and the stories that that this franchise has to share about buying a franchise and having a day or having that experience. The consumer site is there to sell services and products, and it tends to outrank. It tends to rank for a lot of those consumer keywords, but the FranDev keywords are very minimal. I mean, they will rank if you have I'm sorry, getting too techy on this, but if you have a lot of keywords you need to rank for in your franchise development category, having it on the consumer site is going to limit you, because the consumer and local keywords are far more visible into the content. Obviously, the search engines see that. So it's going to outweigh those FranDev target keywords, and you're not going to have as much relevance to the search. But with the FranDev side, that's all it talks about, top to bottom. It's all about those relevant terms baked into the content. So as long as it's fueling new content, the site is kind of a machine of producing good content. Google's going to outrank it and show or outrank you over your competition. So long-winded way of saying I'm a big advocate of franchise development sites, separate and distinct from consumer. But the key is, of course, the interlinking between them, with the navigation links, the site links, the footer links, and things of that nature. So
I'm Team Joe.
all right, I got your vote. I'm going for votes for the next.
Next election.
I love it. Yeah, and I mean, it makes a lot of sense when you think about it. You're really going after two different things, and it makes a lot of sense. Now, Joe.
Wait, I have
Oh,
another question before you go to
Yeah.
your next question.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
yes.
it's the same. So we have this big, I don't know if you know, but we have a executive marketing mastermind group, and I have
Yeah.
an executive friend of marketing mastermind group. And
Oh, I got to join that, by the way, after this
yeah,
thing.
we'll talk about it. But yeah, the big debate is, do you have separate social pages for Fran Dev? The other the second
Oh,
big debate, do you have separate social pages for franchise development? I have an opinion and I will stand on my hill, but do you have separate social pages for Fran Dev or not?
That's a great question, Leanne. And let me just preface this. I'm more of an SEO guy, so what I
Yeah.
tend, though I'm not a social,
Yeah.
app guru. It's a mixed bag, frankly. Like I'm looking at our client lists, and we look at kind of their full, marketing approach. I have some that have the standalone. Actually, funny enough, I have two that have, I can't say the names, but I have two that have standalone franchising only social pages. They're big brands, right? They have, the way I've seen it, as long as they're active, and not saying they as a company, but like maybe like the chief franchising officer, chief development officer, some of their key VPs, as long as they're active on LinkedIn, I can see that they are getting a pretty nice a nice response on their social. I'm talking LinkedIn mostly. That's where most of these social pages are there to do the job. I'd say as long as they're active, they have a good brand recognition, and they're putting out meaningful, helpful content all day long. I think it's a separate franchising site. As long as they're not just there selling, right? We know that that's not what you do on LinkedIn. The brands I'm talking about, actually, and we're all running in similar circles, like the Star Awards and things like that. 2 years in a row, they ranked as one of the best social, whatever you want to call it, the best social strategy for Fran Dev. So I know it works, but it's got to be the right type of business. They got to really be active on LinkedIn and have great stories and great content to contribute. If they are doing it on the consumer side, they meaning any brand, it's got to be real light and very selective franchise development content promotion, because you don't want to disrupt that audience of consumers that are out there researching their products and services. You want there to say, hey, franchise opportunity, look at all this. So it's a mixed bag for me. And I personally, because I love inbound marketing, I would say my personal opinion is having it on a separate, very active social page is probably the way I would go. But that's just my humble opinion.
Okay, I mostly agree with you.
Okay. All right. Well, then I guess I'm right.
But I don't think like these emerging brands should do it, because they're not going to remain active. It's not top priority. They have to have somebody dedicated to constant content. And I think if they have stronger brand recognition. So I do believe it's more of a mixed bag. I think if you're a big brand, you have a dedicated team that can handle the content and the consistency of it and have great stories to tell. I think it's a good idea. But otherwise, most of the brands who are considering it, I don't think are ready for it yet.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely a good perspective. So I think we can agree that.
We have
Yeah.
a
Amazing.
debate in our Slack channel.
Well, Michael, what do you think? Do you have a say on this?
I
I'm asking you
guess,
the questions now.
yeah. I think it could go either way. I mean, you obviously know a lot more than me from the SEO, but from the social perspective, of course, what Leanne was saying, if it's not active, it also makes a lot of sense. It's just going to be dormant there. I mean, I guess I could go either way. We'll have to do some analytics and some testing maybe
Yeah,
with
exactly.
some emerging and micro emerging brands and
Yeah.
and everything else.
I think where I see the problem is the Facebook pages. And I know that like for us, we're all thinking LinkedIn because I think that's where it makes the most sense. But some of them do these Facebook pages, and your life cycle of a candidate is only 90 days to 6 months. And so they're not going to engage with your content. They're going to fall out of the cycle. And on Facebook, engagement begets engagement. And so if you don't have if your fan base isn't actively engaging, then you run into problems. And so I think people like might come and look at the stuff, but then they're not really going to interact with it. And so I think that's where it becomes a little bit of it becomes frustrating for a franchisor because they feel like they're putting in all of this work, but they're not getting it. They're really not getting any traction from it. But that's
Right.
Facebook.
Yeah, well, let's just tie that in for a moment with like you talked about paid social. Like if you're running paid social ads, you better have an active page to point to, because eventually, I mean, they're not going to let their click an ad and go to your Facebook or Instagram page. They're going to go to the landing page and things of that nature. But if you're running ads, you've got to keep it live, right? You got to have no dormancy whatsoever. So that's the only footnote I would say is if they're doing any sort of paid social strategy, make sure you're using social for what it's there to do, right?
Right.
And then it's a matter of what that audience, needs to see and that nature. But you have to have someone own it. And that's really the key, I think, between the established brands, micro emerging brands, and in between, you got to have someone that really lives in that space to drive performance. So.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense too. I was going to
Right.
say, Joe, before we let you go, we are super stoked and happy, of course. This episode is going to air before the Let's Grow conference, and
Yeah.
so we wanted to ask you, or if you want to tell us a little bit about your sessions and your session at Let's Grow, and kind of what attendees can expect to hear from you, to learn from you at the Let's Grow conference.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that opportunity. So yeah, I will be in attendance at Let's Grow. That takes place February 2nd through 4th in Dallas. Great city. Going to be a great time. I was there last year. Had a great time. This was actually on the heels of us being acquired by Ignite. So I was able to have my CEO, John Lincoln, who is a thought leader in the space. Love for you guys to get some time with him at some point. He and I did what do you call it? A presentation on the stage. So this year I'll be doing that again. I'll be there with a few other colleagues, and the topic is how to build a lead gen engine that fuels franchise expansion. So just some of the topics we covered today on how to leverage paid search, social display, content, storytelling to expand your franchise. So a lot of those attendees that I'm sure are looking for ways to take their franchise from, say, 50 locations to 500 locations, they should attend. We'll share some things that a lot of these brands that we worked with for a number of years that are in that 500 location and up range, what they've done to successfully expand their footprint through franchise development marketing strategies. And we'll tie in some consumer to local as well, just to make sure you don't lose sight of the importance of having a very strong consumer brand and supporting those potential franchisees that are looking at that website and saying, well, is that website going to help me generate leads if I become a franchise owner? So excited about presenting with you guys here in a few short weeks.
Love it. And we're super excited to have you guys on board again. Joe, tell us, if someone wants to find you, what's the best way to reach out? Email, website, LinkedIn?
Oh yeah, all three. Let me give you that. So on LinkedIn, my handle is Joseph Mohay. Call me Joe. So I'm out there, try to get a little bit more active, more and more this year. We also have, of course, our website. That we're part of Ignite Visibility, so it's ignitevisibility.com. I would do a little /franchise, so that'll take you to the kind of the franchise specific section of our business. And my email is joseph@ignitevisibility.com. Yeah, we're going to be there at the show, and you'll see us a lot more visible at these events going in through this year, and you'll see a lot more from Ignite Visibility. We're excited to really take our business, with the combined forces of Ignite and IDS now, take it to new heights. And thanks for inviting us today. This was a great session. So thank you.
This was
Very
awesome. Thank you very much, Joe. It was very informative, and we'll see you in a few weeks.
All right. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank
Joe.
you.
That
All right,
was great.
that was awesome. You
Oh,
weren't
Joe,
expecting some of those questions, but that was fun.
that was great. No, very super informative. People that don't listen to this podcast are really missing out.
I know, there's
That
a
was
lot of
really
good stuff.
great information to
Yeah.
to build your business. Um,
And I didn't realize I knew it. I guess I knew it. But it didn't process that IDS and Ignite Visibility join forces. So that's a pretty big combo.
yeah, yeah, no, they're great, great organization. All right, so next up is Franchise Mingle. Um, Franchise Mingle. Okay, wait. So we're airing January. We're airing very soon. We're airing next week.
Yes,
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, I will get to Franchise Mingle, but first, Leanne, I'm going to let you tell us who Franchise Mingle is sponsored by.
Oh, well, thank you, Michael. Franchise Mingle is sponsored by our friends at Architect. Managing multiple franchise locations. You know what? He never wants to read this one. But
Wow. She lies, Monty. Oh, Monty and
Monty,
Madame.
too many big words. Meet Maestro by Architect, your ultimate business intelligence solution. Gain a centralized view of your entire network, automate tasks like royalty payments. Trusted by successful franchises, Maestro transforms operations across retail, healthcare, education, and sports. Visit architect.com. So we're going into 2025. It's the first week of the year, but we have a lot of trips planned. Tell us what's on the agenda, Michael.
Oh, yes, Leanne. I will tell you, we have got a bunch of different things. First up, I'm going to be in New Jersey. We have our New York, New Jersey franchise show on the 25th and 26th. We kick off 25 with that amazing tri-state franchise show. Looking forward to that. It is back to back with the Dallas franchise show, which is the weekend after. And real back to back, of course, is Let's Grow, which is starts after the Dallas franchise show ends. And if we haven't given enough shameless plugs for Let's Grow, we'll give one more. It is February 2nd through to the 4th. We're almost sold out, which is phenomenal. It is coming up. There's still time to register. And of course, as we say, that's Dallas Fort Worth. Right after Dallas, there's another pretty decent conference too. The week after, and we're both going to that. Of course, IFA's in Las Vegas. So looking forward to that one as well. And after that, we have a bunch of franchise shows in between Nashville and Chicago. But we have our Hello Mastermind Spring Retreat for both marketing and Fran Dev groups. And that one will be in Nashville, April 30th through to May 2nd. Super looking forward to that. And I think that's enough mingling for now. And,
Mingling.
and I think that there's quite a bit more throughout the year. But yeah, that a lot coming up in the next little bit. Holy wow, lots of travel.
Yeah, it was a nice little break, but off we go.
Here we go. Yeah, this episode is brought to you by Subtle Strauss, Architect, Hello Mastermind, and Franchise Assembly. Am I missing anything else?
I don't think so.
No?
All right. I'll see you in Dallas.
That's it?
I think
Oh,
so.
you're not coming to New York? All right, madam. See you in Dallas. This has been fun.
It's not New York, it's New Jersey. Let's be real. If it was New York, it might be.
Oh, wow, wow. Wow, look at her. What a hater there for listen, all the people in New Jersey. I love New Jersey. I don't know what she's even referring to. I don't know
I
why.
love New Jersey too, but if I have to make choices,
All right.
we've got to plan this Let's Grow thing. So
Yes, that was good. That was fun. That was great. Joe was awesome. Thanks, Leanne. We'll talk
see you
later.
now.
Bye.